Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As of right now in the Marathon Alpha, there is no PvE only mode. That doesn't mean, however, that the full release will not feature some type of PvE mode or PvE heavy situation. In fact, many of the streamers invited to Bungie to test the game over the last year have already talked about the fourth map being some type of PvE puzzle or series of puzzles aboard the Marathon ship, which, to be honest, would be super cool. It also wouldn't be out of Bungie's realm to offer a top-tier endgame PvE experience that forces you to loot up in the PvE extraction mode in order to go into this cooperative PvE mode for the ultimate loot. I admittedly might be dreaming here, but because the player base seems so frustrated with the idea that no PvE mode seems present, I've taken the time to show you that it's possible to continuously go through raids without ever taking damage from another player or without having any teammates. All right, let's go. So the first thing is your loadout. The goal here is to limit your risk, and to do that, I suggest not going in with any of your own gear except a backpack if you have a couple of extras. And honestly, that's it. You automatically have a knife to use, and you'll get a gun and bullets off the first bot that you kill. You'll just have to make sure that you do it in a way that doesn't expose you to other bots. Once they target you, they won't stop until you are pretty far away. For your runner, I recommend using Void. His invisibility will help you avoid not only the bots, but also other players. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not going to be easy all the time, but the risk is basically none since you're not taking any of your own gear in. So in the event of an instant fail to bots or other players, you just hop back in and try again. To maximize your raid, the loot you're looking for is worth $225 or higher, and you should be trying to complete your faction contract as well. In this particular solo run, I made it out with over $4,000 in sellable items with a couple of guns, a grenade, a core, some ammo, and some heals. This was a very successful run. Although the loot value probably could have been higher, I finished my contract and I filled up a backpack that I didn't even have before entering. If I were to sell everything, my grand total would be $5,245. I obviously would keep the backpack and the guns that I didn't have yet, and probably the ammo and cores, but if you wanted to value it all, that's what it is. This is even more possible when you have friends who are on the same page. You can move through the bots faster without fear of getting downed. I failed a couple of times to the bots because at the start you have limited resources and they will mess you up without hesitation. My success rate though is much higher than my failures, and because it doesn't cost anything to go in, when you do get out, the gear and the guns is way worth it. Not to mention if you manage to complete something on your current faction contract, then the run is even better. I think Bungie is very aware that their current audience or fan base is definitely PvE heavy. So in making an extraction shooter, which are notoriously unforgiving and lean heavy in the PvP direction, they have implemented some things that will help a solo or PvE focused player enjoy the game. A big example of this is the faction contract progress. All of the faction contracts I've come across so far preserve the progress whether I die or make it out alive. The only exception has been contracts that explicitly tell you that you need to exfil in order to complete the objective. And on top of that, the progress is shared throughout the entire team on the vast majority of those contracts. For example, if the contract is telling you to loot containers, you could be fighting bots while your teammates are looting containers, and you'll notice that you'll be making progress on something that you have nothing to do with. This system of saving the contract progress is something that will likely have the hardcore extraction players thinking the game is weak or for noobs, but Bungie are marketing this game to a very wide audience, and to me, it's just a smart move. I've got about 30 hours in the alpha, and to me, the PvE elements are much more present than the PvP. And I think people who are looking for a challenging PvE experience might like what the game has to offer, especially if we get an endgame activity that features PvE puzzles and difficult bouts with AI. Is it exactly like Destiny? Obviously not. But does it offer something fun and attractive for PvE only players? Absolutely. Anyways, the moral of the story is that you can go through this game and level up all your factions and never have any meaningful experiences in PvP. Are you going to get killed by a player? Sure. Are you going to get killed by bots? Sure. But if you're entering the game with literally none of your own loot, you really can only win or tie with yourself. And if you make it a point to complete your faction progress, then you're only winning. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy running.